Hello everyone and welcome to the One Stop Co-op Shop. This is Colin and today we're going to do a playthrough of Legendary James Bond 007. I was fortunate enough to be able to pick this up at Gen Con and I thought, hey, it'd be kind of fun to show you guys. I know it's been a little bit, so I hope it's okay. I'm going to help Mike out for a couple weeks. I'm in between jobs, so it's kind of nice to take a little time and do a couple playthroughs. I am hoping that I can continue doing this maybe once a month after I start my new job, but it's going to all depend. So, hope you guys are excited. This video will be a setup, and then from there we will jump into the playthrough. Now, if you've played any of the Legendary games before, and there's quite a few of them, this will be very familiar to you. There are going to be a few things that are different, and that's part of the reason why I'm really enjoying this game right now. It adds some different items. It also has a villain deck that is stacked. So you know how it used to be you just shuffle them all together? Well, there's going to be an A, a B, and a C. And with those A, B, and C's, you're going to see even henchmen are going to get more challenging as you get through the villain deck. Also, there's an inevitable card at the end, which is also super cool. So even if you get through the entire villain deck, this inevitable card will start pushing through this on assignment track, and if it escapes, you lose. In the box, they provide the scenarios for 4 of the movies from the classic James Bonds. I'm going to do the GoldenEye one, so that means I'll be fighting Alec Trevelyan and the GoldenEye villain group, and our scheme will be the Worldwide Financial Meltdown and its mission group. You'll want to go ahead and grab that specific mastermind, and then they have 4 tactics cards. You'll just want to make sure to shuffle them up. I leave them face down, so I don't know what they are. Put this on top, and then you have some text here that you need to know for the specific game. So first of all, Alec always leads the GoldenEye villain group, so we'll be using the GoldenEye villain group. When we draw a master strike, each villain on assignment acquires a gadget, and if there's no villain, then the mastermind does. Also, for special rules, gadgets can only be acquired by villains and masterminds. Usually they can also be acquired by henchmen, not for this play, okay? And then each of one of those gadgets will give +1 attack for each gadget that's on either the mastermind or on a villain. So right now, his attack value is 6. So I'm going to have to be able to do 6 points of damage to be able to hit him. But as he gains gadgets, that will go up. Next, we have a scheme card. So this scheme card has an always uses, so it's always going to use the Worldwide Financial Meltdown mission group. Some of them actually don't require a specific mission group, and you can choose. This one we can't. We have a setup. We need to have 5 scheme twists. I think all of the ones in this game are 5 scheme twists. I know with Legendary Marvel, that might be different, but for here, it is just 5. Whenever we draw a scheme twist, put that twist and each KO twist next to the mastermind as an EMP. When a player triggers a class special ability, you can KO. KO means get rid of, so put it in the KO pile. You can KO an EMP. We do have a special rule here that you can't fight the mastermind while there's any EMPs next to it. So as we go through, there's going to be more and more EMPs that are going to come out, and then we'll have to get rid of them before we can attack Alec. Also a new mechanic is evil wins here at danger level 5. So there's actually a danger track, and whenever a mission escapes, our danger goes up based on that mission level, and you'll see that as we're playing. Similar to Marvel Legendary, we have wounds. Now, there's a huge stack of wounds, but I didn't want to de-sleeve all of them, so I just de-sleeved a few. If I need to get more, I'll grab them. If you remember from Marvel Legendary, there are bystanders. Here they are gadgets. Now, the gadgets will give you victory points because you can play this competitively or cooperatively, but actually there's a lot of cards in the game that will say, hey, you need to have a certain amount of victory points in your victory pile before you can do something. So it is still good to track your own victory pile, even if you're playing cooperatively. And I should say, for this play, I am going to play a 2-player game solo, so I'll be playing 2 different decks. You'll also have a huge stack of ally cards. I only have 2 here right now because I don't think I'll buy many of them. They are the Miss Moneypenny cards. You'll put all of them here. I just have a couple de-sleeved here. Then you will choose 5 specific cards that you will shuffle together to make your hero deck. Each set will have 14 cards. I have 1 card from each set here. So there will be 14 Allies GoldenEye, 14 Equipment GoldenEye, 14 James Bond GoldenEye, 14 M16 GoldenEye, and 14 Natalia Simonova. I can say that. What's important to note here is this is specific for the scenario that we're doing, so I picked all the ones that go with the GoldenEye scenario. You can always mix them up. The important thing is that you can only ever have one James Bond set. So there's a bunch of different James Bond sets. So since I'm doing GoldenEye, I chose the James Bond from GoldenEye. So the rest of the cards from that stack are here. I'm going to shuffle them all up, and I'll put these in there, and then we'll reveal 5 new ones to start the game. Here will be our starting queue branch. And you can see on these cards over here, that's the cost to purchase it. If you see different items here, that's their abilities. This is the amount of fight they add, and this is the amount of recruit that they add. So we'll see how that works in the playthrough. Just so you can see it, this is the danger level. Now, they don't actually give you a token for this, which I think is kind of crazy, but I am using a Lord of the Rings token here, and if that ever gets up to 5, we lose the game. Okay, but we'll start it off at 0. They suggest just using a card that you're not using, and you know that works fine. I like this. On the back of the rulebook, it'll provide to you, dependent upon the amount of players, what groups of missions, villains, henchmen, and gadgets you should include in the villain deck. So since we're playing 2-player, we'll have 1 mission group, 1 villain group, 1 henchman group, and 2 total gadgets. Also, with the gadgets, since we are doing a tiered deck, they need to let you know where you need to put those gadgets, because as I told you, there's going to be 3 decks, deck A, B, and C. You'll determine deck C, put it all together, shuffle it together, then put B on top of C and A on top of B. So with 2 players, we'll put 1 of the gadgets in A and 1 of the gadgets on B. And just note, I think there was an error here. They had a 2 plus a 3 plus a 2, which is equal to 7, giving 8 for 3 players. That doesn't really make sense. So we're pretty sure it's 3, 3, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. That is not for sure, so don't quote me on that, but that seems to make the most sense if they wanted 8 total number of gadgets. Here we have our mission group. Our mission group will consist of 9 cards. 8 will go into the villain deck, and the 9th one is an inevitable card that will go at the bottom. So I don't want you to read that. I'm going to flip it over and put that at the bottom of the villain deck. Then each of these cards will have a deck A, deck B, or deck C. So I now have set these up and broken them out based on those decks, and then I will also slot in the different types of villains and henchmen. So here we have all of the henchmen and villains of deck A. We now have all the villains and henchmen here of deck B, and all the villains and henchmen of deck C. Based on the rulebook, we know that we should put a gadget in deck A and a gadget in deck B. And then we have a total of 5 Master Strikes and 5 Scheme Twists. So we put 1 Scheme Twist in deck A, 2 in deck B, and 2 in deck C. And we do the same thing with the Master Strikes. So 1 here, 2 here, and 2 here. Now off camera, what I'll do is I'll shuffle up deck C, then B and put B on top of C, and then A and put A on top of B. And that creates our villain deck. The last item we need to do is set up our starting decks. So what you'll do is you'll grab 8 of these basic 007 starter heroes. You have to remember that these are considered heroes because things will say that you can KO a hero. That does mean you can KO your starting cards, okay? You'll also grab 4 of these 00 agents that give you 1 attack. So these ones will give you 1 recruit and 1 attack. And I picked 2 of my favorite Bond characters. So this will be 1 deck right here, and this will be another deck right here. Now the fun part is that we get to pick a specific starting card for our deck. Each James Bond has 5 total cards you can choose from. Okay, so I get to pick 1 of these 5 for each of our decks. For Pierce Brosnan, we have these 5 options. Now, what I just want you to understand is you can see there's some symbols here. That's doing a class ability. You have to have played a card with that symbol before you play this card here to gain the benefit. So you can see with Brosnan, he doesn't get any generic abilities. He'll only get class abilities. So the one that I like the most is this one because we need a fist, and what we can do is, so if we play a card like Time Bomb, for an example, first, and then play this card, we can then do this ability. Reveal cards from the hero deck until you reveal a James Bond hero. You may gain it for free. Then shuffle the rest of the cards back into the hero deck. So I'm going to take this one. The rest of these are not going to be used. Here we have good old Sean Connery when he was a lot younger. So we have these 5 ones to choose from. And honestly, I kind of like this special agent card because first of all, it lets you draw a card. And then the next time you play a James Bond hero this turn, so that would be, I don't have any of the James Bond heroes up, but I showed you that before. If you play one of those heroes, you get to draw another card. So you potentially could draw 2 cards for this, and it gives you 1 fight. And there you have it. That is the setup for Legendary James Bond 007. Hope you guys are excited. Please join me for the next video when we start our playthrough. Thanks for watching, and I will see you at the next stop.